Everyone, welcome back to another episode of Let's Chat Reality. I'm Molly,
And I'm Michael.
and in today's episode, we're going to talk about all the news stories from the past week. There's a lot that's happened recently, so we want to just primarily highlight that today, and we'll probably do this every couple of weeks. Once we want to catch up more with the news stories, if we can't get to those in each particular episode, when the episodes that we highlight in certain shows themselves. So this episode will be just on the news because there's a lot. So we're excited to see your reaction to this, but we're excited to just share more about reality TV.
Yeah, no, there's a lot that's happened this week. So let's just dive in.
Yeah,
Um,
so this is fresh off the press. I don't know if everyone knows about this yet, but I just texted you about this, Michael, that Brandon and Serene unfortunately broke off their engagement from this most recent season of Bachelor in Paradise, and everyone was rooting for them. I don't know how you feel about them, but like I really, really thought they were gonna make it, and now seeing them break it off, it's just heartbreaking.
I know. I feel like I'm sure there's more that's going to come out about this in the coming, gosh, probably there has been more that's come out about this since we started recording. But they were one of the only couples from season 8 of Bachelor in Paradise. Well, let me just kind of back up for those of you who don't know who they are. Brandon was on Michelle's season of The Bachelorette, and Serene was on Clayton's season of The Bachelor. And then they met on Bachelor in Paradise the following year, with season 8. And they were really one of the most steady couples, I feel like, that season. And maybe I'm forgetting something dramatic that happened between them, but I just don't remember anything, which makes me think that they kind of were that couple that really flew under the radar, kind of like the Jade and Tanner from season 2, which is kind of, I feel like, the original couple that really flew under the radar and just didn't have any drama in Bachelor in Paradise. And every season since then, there's usually one, and they were kind of that couple. And it's always really sad when that couple breaks up because you really didn't see them being toxic with each other, which is so
Yeah.
rare on this show. And so,
Oh, for
yeah, it's
sure.
really sad.
I know, cause and everyone like, I felt like we didn't get to see, like, a whole lot of their relationship because it was so good that
Right.
they didn't really show, like, a whole lot of it because they wanted to prioritize some of the drama that was
Exactly.
happening, which always happens on the shows, but I definitely thought, like, when they came on to the reunion and all that stuff, like, they really did seem strong. And sometimes when you see, like, after filming, like, you kinda can see, like, maybe there's some rocks in the relationship, but, like, with them, like, it really didn't seem that way. So unless they were, like, putting on a show or, like, something recent happened, like, I don't really know what went down.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like every couple when they break up, and I think I might have even said this on a previous episode, but they always kind of start out saying, "Oh, we love each other. We're going to be so supportive. We're going to be best friends." And then in the coming months, they start to shade each other on Instagram a little bit here and there, and people start unfollowing one or the other, and everyone chooses sides. So I don't know. I am going to reserve judgment on that and for a little while. But for right now, from based on just what we've seen right now, yeah, I mean, I feel like maybe it's just one of those things where it's so hard to have a relationship in the public eye that starts in the public eye, especially. They're not a couple that were together for a number of years and then came on a show together and, had that foundation outside of the show. So I think that always makes it really hard with couples that come out of shows like The Bachelor and Love is Blind and things like that, because it's really so public from the very start.
Yeah,
So
that's true. And also Bachelor in Paradise is filmed in only, like, 3 weeks.
yeah,
So, they go quick, and then it's like, okay, like, now we're in reality and, like, what even, like, do you like to do outside of just being on the beach? Like, there's just a lot of changes that happen related to that, so I think it just probably just life got to them and, like, they just had different ways of what they wanted to do with their lives and just wasn't compatible anymore, probably is my guess, but
I think
I
that's
hope
very
that they're still cordial with each other because 'cause they're both really sweet people, and I wanna love both of them.
I know, I know. But yeah, I agree with you. I think that I will say with Bachelor in Paradise, even though it's very short, they do spend so much time together at least that and it's not all on camera too, because they are, living there even when the cameras are down. And so I do think more so than The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, they do get to have certain conversations that you really don't get to have on Bachelor or Bachelorette, at least until the very, very end, until like the fantasy suites and the hometown visits and things like that, where they really get to spend more time together. But yeah, it's still so short that and they're in this fantasy world going on these amazing dates and everything, that when you get back to reality, sometimes it's very different. But they lasted almost a year, so it couldn't have been too horrible when they first got back. So I don't know what happened, obviously, but yeah, that's very sad.
Yeah. Now the only couple that's lasted from season 8 is Danielle and Michael.
Right. But season 7
So
has so many still, which is
yeah,
so crazy to me. I
there's so
wonder
many.
why that is.
I don't know, something in the water that was that year.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I guess let's move on to the next story. What else we got, Molly?
Yeah, so Jersey Shore preview. I know you're definitely probably way more excited
Yeah,
than
I
I am.
can I
I
can
mean,
take
I
the
do
lead on
like
this
Jersey
one.
Shore, but I haven't been like I didn't watch it really that much when I was younger, but I'm excited to now watch it. I feel like it's gonna be like a whole different show in a way of like what's gonna go on
Oh,
now.
I'm so excited. So
Yeah.
I like you. So I did watch it here and there, the original show. And
Mhm.
then when it first came back in 2018 after 6 years off, I did watch the first I think I watched the first whole season back, and then kind of here and there from then on. But I am really excited because at the season finale, they showed the first clip of Sammy Sweetheart coming back to the show, which is really exciting. She did not come back at all for the reboot. So it has
Oh,
been 11 years since she's been on the show. And so they showed the first clip of her coming in. And what I didn't realize is that the rest of the cast had no clue, it seems like, until she walked in, that she was coming back to the
wow.
show at all whatsoever, except for Angelina. So that I thought by the time that it was announced that they kind of knew that it was happening. Well, I guess they did by the time it was announced, but I had no idea that they started filming without knowing that she was going to be there. So that's going to be really exciting. I love when they're kind of caught off guard like that. So yeah, I think that'll be really interesting. I don't They have not announced when the new season is going to start, but the previous season just ended, so I assume it'll probably be 2-3 months before that comes back, but we will keep you all updated.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to watch. I feel like that kind of TV is just like just enjoyable to see. Like, I don't typically watch those really. Like, I do like watch occasionally, I guess, like Real Housewives stuff. Like, I've seen some of it, but I don't keep up with those like more so like the families reality of shows. And so I'm excited to watch Jersey Shore because I just feel like I've heard so much more about it recently, and I'm just now like more curious. I feel like also especially this kind of goes into another point, but like with Dancing with the Stars, like seeing Vinny on Dancing with the Stars, I feel like I kind of got
Yeah,
more into Dancing with the Stars, or just not, I got more into Jersey Shore of like
right,
seeing
right.
Vinny. So I didn't really have like that much of a strong attachment to certain of the cast of like Jersey Shore, but now that I saw Vinny, I like really like him, so I want to watch him
Mm.
on the show.
Yeah, and I wonder if they'll show anything about, because there's all these rumors about Vinny and Gabby
Yeah.
dating, and so I wonder if that will bleed into the next season of Jersey Shore, which I don't actually know. They might have The Dancing with the Stars era might have actually been during this past season, so if they were going to bring that up, that probably would have happened already, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll see.
But that'll be fun,
Um,
yeah, because so Dancing with the Stars will now be back on
yeah,
ABC. So I know I actually saw the article said that it's still gonna be on Disney Plus
yes,
as well, but just back on ABC to air it like on national television, which I think is a good thing. Like when I saw that it was switching to Disney Plus, I was kind of shocked because I feel like for that show, like not everyone who wants to watch Dancing with the Stars is gonna have Disney Plus.
Right.
So it kind of lost some audience members there, but then it also probably gained a fair amount because then you didn't have any of the commercials and you could just just watch it from Disney Plus, which was also a benefit there. But I don't know. I'm excited to see it back on ABC because I know I'm able to watch that easier when it's on ABC.
Yeah, no, I'm glad too. I mean, I will say I did like how I liked it without commercials. I feel like we got
Yeah.
to see more it didn't feel as rushed sometimes. And we got to see a little bit more of the professionals all dancing together and little segments like that that we kind of missed, I guess, in the past couple seasons before that, especially during the COVID era. They really didn't get to do a lot of the group dances and things like that because all the couples had to be in their own pods together. And so
Yeah.
it felt like, last season was the first one out of COVID, in quotes, where it really felt like normal, where there was an audience back and you got to do a lot of the more the group dances like that are really fun to watch. And so I did like that we had time to do a lot more of that without commercials. And it was also really the first show like that streamed live that didn't have commercials. And
Yeah.
so that was really interesting to see just how they were going to do it. But I am glad that it's going to be back on ABC. Dancing with the Stars generally has an older audience also that doesn't necessarily know how to get into Disney Plus.
Yeah.
And
For sure.
Michael
They've
has a hard time
definitely
getting into Disney Plus.
yeah.
But I'm glad that it's back on ABC. I think it's smart the way that they're doing it, where people who don't have cable can still watch on Disney Plus, people who don't have Disney Plus can still watch on cable. So really now it's open to everybody, no matter what way you want to watch it. It's going to be available to watch live. And so I think that's the best way to do it. Disney Plus is doing fine. I don't think they need Dancing with the Stars on there to be successful. They have enough other stuff going on there, that I think that'll be fine. And I'm really excited to see. I feel like we've heard so much news about Dancing with the Stars already, and it doesn't start until September.
Yeah, but we don't know the cast yet.
No, the only one that's been rumored is Ariana Madix from Vanderpump Rules.
Oh, yeah.
That's been, I think, pretty much confirmed.
Yeah.
But
But besides her, we don't know anyone.
yeah, besides her, they haven't, I don't think the cast knows if they're on yet. Most of them probably. Last season, this was around the same time that they got Charlie D'Amelio. So
Oh,
it's kind of normal for them to, especially a bigger name that they want, they probably will get earlier on. But for the most part, yeah, it's probably not for another month or so that they would really start confirming the rest of the cast.
that makes sense. Well, I'm excited for when it starts.
Me too.
That will be fun. And then also next in our news, want to talk about Vanderpump Rules
Let's
finale
do it.
trailer leaks.
Ooh, okay. I'll take the jump on this one because I don't think you know the whole story here. But so it was last week, I want to say about a week ago, the trailer for the finale got leaked on this Instagram account that seems to be created just to leak this trailer. It was the only thing on their Instagram account, which is really strange and makes everyone think that it was some editor, producer. I don't know why they would do this. Who knows? But so this finale is the only episode of the regular season that was filmed post Scandival. So post the scandal of Tom Sandoval cheating on Ariana Madix, who we just mentioned, is going to be on Dancing with the Stars. And every fan of the show has been waiting for this one episode all season long since the scandal started. And somehow someone got a hold of the trailer for that finale and leaked it, which forced Bravo to then a couple hours later officially post it, which was a little bit different. It had a few differences, which shows that the one leaked was not necessarily the final version, which just reiterates the point that it must have been an editor or someone in production there. And it looks great. It looks really exciting, but they clearly did not want that coming out a couple weeks early.
Yeah,
So
that's wild.
yeah, but that's very exciting. That will air next Wednesday. So
Um,
I I can't get over the fact that I don't remember a time when a show has had a scandal like this have such an incredible effect on the viewership of the show. The ratings have quadrupled since this scandal. Literally, that's not an
yeah,
exaggeration. They have
no, it's
quadrupled.
real. Yeah.
And it feels like it's the biggest show on television, right? It's like the Game of Thrones or Succession for reality TV right now.
Honestly, I didn't even know Vanderpump Rules was a show really until this scandal.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people didn't.
Yeah,
And it's been insane for the show. I mean, as horrible as it was for Ariana, I mean, it was amazing for the show.
yeah,
So it'll be interesting to see how long the show can ride this wave and to see kind of where they go next season. Which we can talk about more kind of, once the season ends in a few weeks. But yeah, I'll be really interested to see where they go from here.
yeah, for sure. And then, do you want to talk about the interview that Tom had with
Yes.
Howie
Okay.
Mandel?
Just kind of, I'll
So,
briefly bring this up. Yeah.
yeah, I didn't
Um,
listen to it. Did you listen to it?
yeah, I've watched it.
Okay.
So I did not know Howie Mandel had a podcast. To be totally honest with you, the most random place for Tom to go for his one interview. It wasn't so random because apparently Howie Mandel has some relation to one of Tom's band members. I think his drummer is Howie's daughter. I don't know. I don't know the whole. I can't remember exactly the
Some
relation
relation.
there. There's some relation that is the reason why he went on there. Howie has never seen the show before, which I'm sure you could realize by watching it. But apparently another reason why Tom felt comfortable going on there is because Howie went on Nick's podcast, Nick Viall's podcast, and said that he was not allowed to challenge Tom, that per the agreement of the interview, he wasn't allowed to challenge him. I didn't know that was something you could do in a podcast interview. Like, I don't think most people have that opportunity to say, I'll go on your podcast, but I don't want you to challenge anything that I say.
Yeah, like he's just like, okay, I'll talk about what I want to talk about, but nothing that's gonna make me look bad.
Yeah, which is obviously why he chose that. I mean,
Yeah,
I would too,
yeah,
but that's wild that he got that opportunity, which I mean, I guess when you're in the biggest thing in the news in the reality TV world, I guess you have that type of say that people
yeah.
want you enough that they're willing to agree to that.
So what did they even get out of the interview?
Oh, nothing. He looked worse than he did before it. I mean,
So it didn't help him at
it
all.
didn't help him. I don't know why he did it. It he could get fired from the show over this. I mean, to do an interview that was not approved by production, which you're not allowed to do, especially before the reunion airs, before the season ends. Like, he could have done this a month from now when the season's over, and I'm sure, it doesn't affect the show's ratings anymore. I'm sure that everyone would have been fine with that. But I don't know. That was weird. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because I just never heard that stipulation before on a podcast.
That's crazy. I mean, I guess there are contracts and stuff that go into it when you go into a podcast episode, like with the more official podcast, I guess you could say.
Right. No,
But
definitely.
yeah,
People, will sometimes ask to see the questions beforehand, or
yeah,
so they can be prepared, or they'll say, like, please don't bring up this topic or this topic. That's understandable. But to just flat out say, no matter what crazy things I say, you're not allowed to question it, just
yeah,
seems a little bit strange.
yeah,
I don't
definitely.
know.
Because then what have you been talking about? Like, it's like you can't ask follow-up questions to something that he says. Like,
Right.
that's
Like,
just,
just talk to
yeah,
the wall, talk to
yeah,
yourself.
yeah. Well, we'll see what happens in that finale.
Yeah.
Excited to see what happens there. So, well, I'm
Yes.
sure we're going to talk about that soon.
I'm sure we will.
Yeah, we can't forget about Scandal.
No, never, never, ever, ever.
Yeah.
So we have a couple of cast announcements that have come out in the last couple of weeks. So I will just read the lineup for these. I have them on my phone, pardon. So the first one, we have this new show called The GOAT that's going to be on Amazon Freevee that I don't think we know exactly what the format is yet for it, but I guess the goal is to find the GOAT, the greatest of all time for reality TV. So it's a bunch of people from a bunch of different reality TV universes coming together to compete in some sort of, it sounds like there's physical challenges, probably eliminations. Don't know exactly what it is yet. I don't think they've said the format, but the lineup is pretty exciting. I will say I am excited by this. So we have Tayshia Adams from The Bachelor. We have Joe Amabile, Grocery Store Joe, also from Bachelor. We have Kristen Doty from Vanderpump Rules. We have Reza Farhan from Shahs of Sunset. We have CJ Franco from, what was that show called on HBO Max? The dating show that I am completely forgetting, that F-Boy Island.
Oh, yeah.
We have Wendell Holland from Survivor. We have Tech Holmes from way back in the day, Real World, like season 2 of the Real World, I want to say. He's also been on Challenge All Stars more recently, but he's kind of one of the real OGs from the 90s. We have Alyssa Edwards from RuPaul's Drag Race. We have Paola Mayfield from 90 Day Fiance. Davon Rogers from Big Brother and The Challenge. Joey Sasso from The Circle. Jason Smith, one of the most random choices for this, from Next Food Network star, and I don't know, remember the name, The Baking Show on Food Network. I feel like Food Network really gets left out of a lot of these. So, you know what? I'm glad to see them represented here.
Me too.
And then we have Lauren Speed Hamilton from Love is Blind and Jill Zarin from Real Housewives of New York. So I feel like pretty big names here.
Really big. I was surprised to see Tayshia on it.
I know.
Like, I kind of thought she was kind of done with doing reality TV. She's so big now with like her hosting stuff and all the other stuff. So I was like, oh, well, she's back. Like, I'm so excited to see her. But like, I was surprised.
Yeah, and I think a big reason for that is that this is produced by Alon Gale, who was a producer of The Bachelor. So I feel like that he probably has some sway in getting Tayshia and Joe in this, I would think.
Yeah, because they're big for Bachelor people. Like, those are two of the top.
Yeah, exactly. No, I feel like from each of these shows, I feel like a lot of times in shows like this, you get the most random people who are like eliminated night 1 on The Bachelor or something.
Well, Joe was eliminated night 1.
Oh, that's very true. I always forget that.
But
that's
he just then had redemption from being a Bachelor in Paradise, and everyone just loved him.
Yeah.
He was on 2 Bachelor in Paradises, and got successful couples he was successful in 2 relationships from those, but only one of them is actually marriage now, obviously.
Right.
But
he had a good long run with Kendall.
Yeah, he did. I really like Kendall.
I do too.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was like, I got sidetracked there because I love Joe. But
oh no, I do too. So the next one we have is called Stars on Mars. Now this is the more bizarre one here, where the contestants will be living in conditions as if they were living on Mars, and then they will be eliminating people. It sounds like kind of a Big Brother style competition. It's going to be airing on Fox this June, I believe. So this is the cast. It's not all reality TV people, it's more celebrities, I guess. So we have Lance Armstrong, that's a big name. We have Natasha Leggero. We have Marshawn Lynch, Christopher Mintz-Plasse. I apologize if I pronounced that wrong. We have Adam Rippon, Ronda Rousey, Tom Schwartz from Vanderpump Rules, Richard Sherman, Tinashe, Portia Williams from Real Housewives of Atlanta, and Tallulah Willis. Oh, and Ariel Winter from Modern Family. So What do you think about that concept of a show and that cast?
Yeah, that's really interesting. I don't know. That's just, in my opinion, like I hope it does well, but like I just don't know how it's gonna really execute or like how those people are gonna interact with each other very
Yeah,
well.
this to me, I hate to say this before a show even airs and before I've seen one frame of 1 second of it. This feels like a one season wonder show that we're gonna look back on in a few years and be like, that was really bizarre.
Yeah, I didn't even remember the name of that. Like I remember seeing a thing about that, but like it was so like not significant to me when I first saw that I was
Yeah,
like I just forgot about it. But I definitely I remember the goat because I was like these people are big. Like I really like
right.
these
I feel
people.
like you
But
couldn't
stars on
tell.
Mars, like that's just this sounds so random.
I feel like you could tell the difference. Now, also, The Goat is a full cast of reality TV people.
That's
And so I
true.
feel like, generally speaking, the people that I guess, follow on social media are more reality TV people. And so I guess you see people being more excited about that just because it's a cast that represents so many different reality shows. Whereas this is a much more, you have actors, you have uh, Olympians, you have
Yeah.
a couple reality TV stars. So it's a bunch of people from so many different, completely different universes that I guess I didn't see as much excitement for it on social media, but that doesn't mean it wasn't there. That just means, I guess, in my kind of side of social media, I
That's
didn't
true.
see it as much.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
we'll see. You'll see how the ratings are when that starts airing.
When do you know the date that it comes out?
I didn't write it down, but I believe it's in June. Um, I will correct that later if I'm wrong. I can quickly look that up also.
Oh, June 5th.
June 5th. There we go.
So that's pretty soon. It's a month away.
Yeah, that's
Less
very
than a
soon
month.
actually. So we
Yeah.
will see that in just a few weeks. Maybe we'll cover it if it's good. If it
Yeah.
if it seems like
Or if
people are
it's
talking
bad,
about
we
it and
can still
we're
talk
enjoying
about
it, yeah, we will certainly be willing to cover that. What else we got here, Molly?
well, some more Bachelor breakups, which I mean,
Uh,
we always know that Peter can he even last with anyone? But Peter and Kelley broke up again. I don't know how many times this has been, but it just they got back together. I feel like it was around like the summer of last year, so I think it's been like a decent bit that they were like back
I
together.
want to say September. I could be
Oh,
wrong about
maybe
that.
even
That's
later
just what
than
I have in
yeah.
my mind, which is summer.
Okay,
You were
so
right.
it's been at least 6 months or so,
Yeah, yeah,
or like could be almost a year, like 8 months. So we'll round up. We'll say like 8 months,
yeah.
and then,
I think
then
that's about right.
they've broken up now again. But I mean, I don't know. Like how do you what do you think about them as a couple, or now
I
that they're broken
kind
up?
of expected it. I'm not shocked.
Yeah,
I just feel like once you break up, and I feel like it wasn't a friendly breakup from what I remember the first time. It seemed like they didn't have the nicest things to say about each other afterwards. And so I feel like once you have that, it's hard so soon to come back from
yeah,
that. I feel like they didn't give it too much time. I mean, when you think about it, Peter's season was only just over 3 years ago, and they didn't start dating right after that. So I mean, it couldn't have been very long, really, that they broke up before they got back together. And I just don't know what changed in that time. It seemed like if it didn't work that time, I don't necessarily know that anything so major changed in either of their lives that I'm aware of, at least, that it would work out now. But I guess they
yeah.
gave it a good go.
Yeah, and now they definitely, I think, are gonna stay broken up at this point. Like, I think now they tried it again,
Yeah.
didn't work out again. Like, there's no point in trying that again. Like, honestly,
Right.
like, I had some hope. Like, when they got back together again, I actually did. Like, I saw some videos of them like going to dinner, like doing some like cute coupley things that I was
Mhm.
like, okay, like they actually look really happy and like they look like they're a good couple together.
Yeah.
But there's definitely I feel like the underlying issues that they were already having that I just couldn't get over.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see what the future holds for both of
Yeah.
them.
I always was surprised that Kelley also wanted to be with Peter. Like, 'cause I feel like
Yeah.
Kelley could do so much better, in my opinion. I don't know.
Yeah.
Peter's not the worst, but like he's definitely not great.
I guess I don't. Yeah, I feel like their personalities from what I remember of Kelley on the show, and I mean, we saw quite a bit of Peter on the show. I don't see them being super compatible, but I guess obviously they both saw something in each other that caused them to be together for quite a while.
Yeah.
But well, he can't go back to Hannah Ann and Maddie at this point. So I think maybe he's done with people from his cast at this point.
Yeah,
Maybe
all even Victoria's with Greg now. So like all of the
that's
final
true.
four
Mm-hmm.
are already. Well, who was the other? It was Hannah Ann, Maddie,
Kelsey?
and Victoria, and then who was the fourth?
Kelsey, I think.
Kelsey. Oh, okay. So I think Kelsey's also like engaged with someone.
Yeah, I just saw that actually. I
Yeah.
think that she's living in Australia, something like that.
Oh, I didn't even know where she was
With
living,
him.
but they all seem like they're very happy and in love. Like
Yeah,
all of them are. So hopefully Kelley will find that next with someone else.
hopefully. Let's hope.
Yeah. And then also we saw an exciting engagement happen this past week with Francesca from Too Hot to Handle,
Yeah.
and she also was on The Perfect Match, and she's been dating her now fiance. I feel like it's been like a year. It happened. They knew each other before she went on The Perfect Match. But then when she got back from Perfect Match, she was single, and then they like reconnected, and then pretty much like we're just
Mhm.
together since then. So she knew this engagement was coming, and I heard her when she was on Nick Viall's podcast say that she knew that they were getting engaged. Like I wasn't surprised about this engagement, but it's also exciting to see her happy and engaged. So I'm happy for her.
Yeah, I think the timeline of this is so interesting though with Perfect Match
Yeah,
because it's weird because Perfect Match, you have to remember, filmed almost exactly a year before it aired. So she was almost engaged, like basically ready to be engaged at any moment when Perfect Match was airing. That
yeah,
it's so weird because a show like The Bachelor films only a couple months before it airs. So there's such a difference there where, not much in their personal lives, even the people who didn't end up in a relationship, not much usually has changed in their lives when it's airing. Whereas Perfect Match, so much had happened that had already really been spoiled. Like, I feel like Francesca was not hiding this relationship before Perfect Match aired. Was she?
no, she definitely wasn't. No, I saw her boyfriend then
Which
at
is
the time.
kind of
Like, yeah,
crazy to think that they were allowed to do that.
yeah,
But I guess Perfect Match is a little bit different than like Love is Blind or something, where I guess spoilers and things like that aren't as important necessarily. I feel like they're a little loosey goosey with that just because the drama of it all is really what I guess people are watching for. But like even with um Georgia and Harry's relationship that happened after Perfect Match when clearly Georgia ended up with Dom on Perfect Match. Sorry, spoiler alert. This aired a few months ago at this point.
yeah.
That was
That
kind of
was a
crazy to
messy
me that she
one.
was able to publicly be in a whole other relationship that started and ended before the show even was
I know.
announced.
And then there was all the I don't know if you remember this, like all the
Cheating.
Instagram stories and like all the
Yeah.
drama that was related to that. Like I couldn't even keep up with that. I was like, what is going on here?
I know, and that's why I kind of wish shows like that would air quicker
Yeah,
after they're filmed because by
there's
the
too
time they
much
air, it just
happening.
feels so outdated.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we know that Georgia doesn't end up with anyone. Even if she does end up with someone, clearly it didn't last because we know she's been in a whole relationship since then.
Yeah.
So I
And
wish,
then they
and I
broke
think
up. And I feel like Harry and Georgia break up often. Like they're off and
all
on.
the
Like I feel like
time.
all the time. Like
I
is
know.
are they together right now? I don't even know.
No,
Like
I don't think they
I think
are,
they've
but
broken up
by the
again. Yeah,
time we post this, they might be.
exactly. But yeah,
So
so I mean, I like Harry as a person. Like I just like enjoy his content, and I think he's a funny person, and I think he means well. But like some of the stuff he does is like, what? What is it? Like this doesn't make sense.
yeah, yeah, he's can't keep up with him and with Georgia and Dom. I agree with you. That whole thing, I was a little bit lost with trying to figure out, but it was something with Georgia going on. And for those who don't know, Harry Jowsey from Too Hot to Handle, who also dated
Oh,
Francesca. This
yeah.
whole
It's all related. And they thought they were gonna get married. I don't remember if you remember this. Like they had matching tattoos,
yeah,
and they were
he gave her
talking
a ring
about
pop
getting
at the
married.
reunion, didn't he?
Yeah, like I was like, oh my god, and they were like 22 at the time, like so young.
Yeah, I know, which is crazy and makes me feel very old also.
But
But
yeah,
yes,
so
overall happy for Francesca.
Francesca's now gonna get married to now her fiance, so we're happy for her, and hopefully Harry and Georgia figure out whatever they need to figure out.
Either end it or get together and
Yeah,
stay together because we have
yeah,
clearly we have enough news going on that we don't need to talk about them every week.
exactly. Well, now we have some other news related to Love is Blind. I feel like there's always something coming up with Love is Blind at this point. But Ayana was speaking on a podcast about Jared, her ex-husband, and saying that he cheated on her, which is sad. But it's just kind of crazy that, like, I mean, none of those couples from season 2 are together anymore. But it's like,
Well, are they? Question mark with
well,
the
okay,
next
yeah. So
story.
then we saw, and then going to another point, is we saw that Danielle and Nick were together on their on the Instagram stories. So I think that was kind of just like a PR move, like in my opinion. Like I don't think they were actually together.
Yeah.
But I don't know. And they're also talking about like the lawsuit stuff together, so I don't think it was anything more than just that. But I feel sorry for Ayana and what she had to go through with Jared. Cause from when they were on the show, like, it definitely felt like she definitely was more into him than he was into her. But they were together for a decent bit after the show, so I was like, okay,
Mhm.
so like maybe this can continue. But now seeing this all unravel, I'm like, oh yeah, she definitely needed to get out of that.
Yeah. No, I mean they didn't have the best start to their relationship on Love is Blind. She was kind of his second choice, if you
Yeah,
will. So I feel like from the jump that didn't have the sturdiest uh start to their relationship. But I feel like by the end of the season and by the time we saw the After the Altar special, they seemed to be pretty good from what I remember. I guess now it's one of those things where I feel like once they broke up, I was like, oh, yeah, I guess I'm not surprised by that. But I wasn't expecting it to happen, but I wasn't surprised, I guess, to hear it once it did come out.
yeah,
And not shocked then to learn that he was cheating. That kind of sounds about right. But then with Danielle and Nick, I agree with you. I think it's one of those things similar to maybe about a month ago now. Rachel from The Bachelorette, who was The Bachelorette with Gabby,
yeah,
posted with Clayton, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, are they together?" And no, they're not. So I feel like it's kind of a similar thing to that with Danielle and Nick. That I think probably they're just kind of trying to have fun with people and stir up speculation if they're back together. But I think I'm sure that going through what they've been dealing with the Love is Blind and speaking out has brought them closer, at least as friends, if nothing else. So I'm sure that if they weren't speaking before that, I'm sure that that got them speaking again. And maybe it will turn into something. Maybe it already has. I don't know. But if I'm just guessing, I would say, at least at this point, that they're not officially back together or anything like that.
yeah. No, but we'll see if they post anything else or say anything else. But that was interesting to see that. So
Yeah, definitely.
we'll see what happens. And then
Yes.
also, I don't know if you saw this, that Charity season ended filming
I
for The
actually hadn't seen
Bachelorette.
that until you pointed it
Yeah,
out. So
yeah.
yeah,
So she posted back. You can tell when they posted now on Instagram again because they get their
sure,
phones back.
sure.
And so she posted a bikini photo and just said, like, I actually want to look this up, the exact caption of her post, but it definitely seems like she's happy.
Okay.
Um, And so we'll see what happens. I don't know. Are you excited to watch this season of The Bachelorette, or what are your
I
thoughts
am.
overall
I
on
really like
Charity?
Charity. Bachelorette to me is always a little bit less exciting than Bachelor, but also this past season of Bachelor wasn't all that exciting. So maybe it'll maybe it'll
Yeah.
be more interesting. I feel like I always get excited for Bachelor seasons when I hear that there's kind of like a twist ending of some sort. That always gets me excited and engaged more early on. Otherwise, I feel like I get more into it later on once there's not 30 men or women that I don't know their names. And
Yeah, for
I feel like,
sure.
and especially in the Bachelor world, I feel like in the first maybe 4 to 5 weeks, everyone is very one dimensional. I feel like they don't do a great job early on in really giving everyone a full personality for me to be invested in un- until once we get down to maybe 7, 8 people and you really start to get to know them, and then you kind of really get to root for them and learn more about them because you get to see more of them because they just start out with so many people. It's impossible to give everyone a full personality, really.
Yeah.
And I guess I just compare it to something like Big Brother, where you watch them 24/7. You really get to know them with it by the time the first person's voted out. You know everything about everyone, seems like. So really, any other show, even Survivor, I feel that way sometimes early on. Um, but yeah, I'm sure I will watch it. I will enjoy it. And I think Charity is very likable and will be a great lead.
For sure. Yeah, so I pulled up the caption. It said, "Poolside, reflecting on the last few weeks, overflowing with gratitude,"
Oh,
with the white
okay.
heart and the rose emoji. So,
Okay, it sounds like
um,
she didn't have a horrible, tragic ending here, at least.
yeah. Yeah, and then, I mean, we're probably would if you wanna get spoiled, it's so easy to get spoiled, but I think I'm gonna try to not get spoiled for this season and not look up anything, so I don't know if you're gonna look up anything, but don't spoil it for me.
Well,
Um,
I am not spoiled, which is unusual,
okay,
actually, at this point. But
that's
even if I was, similar to kind of going back to what I was just saying, I always read the spoilers preseason, but I don't know I can't put a face
yeah,
with
you
the
don't
name.
remember.
So I read the names, and then a week later, by the time I'm watching the premiere, I have completely forgotten everything that I read. Like, I kind of remember generally ish what was happening, but if it's something unusual, but I don't remember who it happened to or anything. So I'm just as surprised as everyone else who didn't read anything, even if I did. So
Yeah. I like the Bachelorette seasons. I feel like overall, just because I like seeing the guys in the show. Like I feel like sometimes when it's the Bachelor season, the girls just start so much drama and like it's
which
just like
is
not
what I
always
like. That's what I'm watching
right.
for.
Yeah, but then I kind of like seeing those love stories evolve too.
Yeah,
And I feel like in the Bachelorette, like those couples will actually last
that's
longer.
true. That's true.
And so then I want to root for them. I mean, right now Zach and Katie are still together, so they're going strong. Actually, side note is my friends actually saw them on in Austin, just like walking together on
Oh
Riverside,
wow.
which is close to where my friends live, and so they're still good if they're still out in
Good.
public. And also, I don't know if you saw this, like Katie went on girls trip with other members of her season, like with Gabby
Fun.
and Jess. They were in Miami, so like she's still really close in area, like close to the people from Final Four, even like that are like people that Zach like fully kind of mistreated, but
Yeah, that's
like
good because I feel like a lot of times the quote unquote winners of the seasons don't necessarily keep up as much, it seems like, with others of the cast, because generally they're not going on Paradise, and so they don't
mhm.
stay in touch and have that bond from Paradise. And it's good to see that she's still uh, close with those girls.
Yeah, no, they're really close. I watched their TikToks and their Instagram stories. Like they look like they had so much fun together. So it
Oh,
was fun to see
good.
that. But yeah,
Yeah,
so that's fun. But then I feel like another reason to watch the Bachelor season. I mean, I love Bachelorette, but like in general, Bachelor in Paradise, I'd say is my
I was about to
favorite
say
of the franchise.
that's why I
So then you
watched
have
them
to
too.
know who the people are to then root for
Right.
them in Bachelor in
Exactly.
Paradise.
Exactly. No, I was about to say the exact same thing. That's really the main reason to watch the main two, is so that you know everyone going into paradise, which is the best version in my opinion.
I feel like we've heard of some names who are gonna potentially be on Paradise, which we can talk about in another episode when like more so gets solidified. But from
Yeah,
what
I was
I've
about to say that
heard,
usually films in
uh,
June, so that should be we
yeah,
should be getting like probably a pretty solid cast list within the next few weeks.
yeah, I'm excited to see that.
Okay,
I
we'll
feel
talk
like it will
about
be
that
exciting
when
to
it comes
see
out.
Clayton there. I heard a lot of things about him going. Did you hear that he's going
I don't know
potentially?
that I believe that.
You don't think so? I think he might be.
No.
Honestly, I believe it because like we had um Becca who went on as a lead after she's found love now. So
I
like there's
guess I
potential.
could. Yeah. I feel like Becca though was still more involved in the Bachelor universe, doing the podcast and everything. I feel like Clayton has kind of spoken out a little bit against the show, hasn't he?
Maybe about like the producers and stuff, like in terms of he talked about he thought that Susie was gonna get chosen as Bachelorette, like the producers were trying to break them up. He mentioned that.
Mhm.
So I guess that kind of looks bad, I guess, on the show in a way, but
Yeah,
I don't
maybe it
think
wasn't so much against the show. Maybe it was just
yeah.
kind of against like I don't know, like the public scrutiny of it type of
Yeah.
thing, maybe so, more so. So,
Yeah, so maybe
you
he
know what?
doesn't want
Like, I
that.
feel like I saw him going on one of those Bachelor podcasts. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I saw a clip where they were asking him, like, oh, who from Zach's season do you have your eye on? So that's kind of a question, too, I guess, that maybe is like a little bit like wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Like, you're going to go on Paradise. We know you're talking with them. Like, who do you want to see there type of thing without
Yeah.
saying it. So, you know what? Now that you say that, it kind of makes a little bit of sense.
Yeah, and he
So
said Jess, and Jess is obviously going
yeah.
to Paradise.
Oh,
So
yeah, never
we'll
mind.
see. I'm excited for
My
that.
theory just got thrown out the window.
Well, no, but I also don't know because Clayton does like what you're saying is true. Like he didn't like that scrutiny of being in public eye of like what people were saying
Mhm.
about him and his relationship, and I think that really affected him. So I don't know, maybe he's not ready for that, but maybe he is.
I guess being on Paradise is a little bit less scrutiny than being the lead of The
Yeah,
Bachelor.
that's true.
So
And he went from like 0 to 100 in the view of the public because no one knew who he was even on Michelle's season.
I know. I was gonna say that was
So
one of those like weird
yeah.
choices to me. It just
Usually you're gonna have someone who like people actually knew or cared about, and then he didn't have that storyline at all on Michelle's
Mhm.
season. So everyone was just learning about him that then on his season. So I think that also kind of
Well,
contributed
look at
to
Matt
it.
James. He wasn't even
Well,
on the
yeah,
show.
Matt wasn't even on, but at least he was friends with Tyler, so
That's
people knew
true.
who
Everyone
he
knew who
was.
he was from TikTok
Yeah. I
during
feel like people knew
early
who
quarantine.
Matt was more than Clayton.
True, probably so. I certainly did.
Yeah, but yeah, so we'll see it once that gets announced, but
Yeah.
hopes are that he goes on the beach.
It would be very interesting, especially if maybe some of the girls from his cast were also there.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've heard that Rachel might be, which
I
that
could see
would
that a little bit more even than Clayton.
yeah, I think, well, definitely Genevieve again. Oh, and then, like, Genevieve and Rachel are best friends. So, like,
Yeah.
it just makes sense in my opinion.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
That would be very
So that'll
interesting.
be fun when
Yeah.
that comes out. We'll definitely be talking about
Oh,
that.
100% we'll be talking.
Yes.
All right. What else we got here? I
Well,
think the next
Real
one.
Housewives of Atlanta.
Yeah, so this just came out this morning that Kim and Kroy Bierman from Real Housewives of Atlanta are divorcing, which is pretty surprising considering they've been together for 12 years.
Wow.
And there weren't any that I know of speculation about it at all, so that was pretty surprising. And it also came out really just a couple hours before that that they are owing $1 million in taxes. So maybe that has something to do with it.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah. So really not much to say there. I'm sure more will be coming out in the coming days, but that really
Yeah.
just came out this morning.
Yeah.
And then I think the only other thing that we had here is just really nothing to talk about, but just since we like to bring up new trailers that have come out and premiere dates of shows that are coming. Project Runway's new season 20, which is an all-star season. The trailer just came out this morning. That will be premiering mid-June. I don't have the exact date written down here, but for anyone who is a fan of that, it'll be coming out in about a month.
That's exciting. I haven't seen Project Runway in a while, but I did love watching that when I was younger.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a show that I don't necessarily watch, week to week. But yeah, I have certainly seen it sporadically here and there. So
Yeah, so that'll be nice. And
yeah,
just
we love
new
an all-star
different than
season.
a reality show. Yeah, I mean, I'm new, but, like, different than just, like, love shows or, like, what's going on in
Right. Well,
like,
and
it's
it's
more wholesome, I feel like.
yeah. Well, it's interesting because it'll be coming on right after Top Chef, which also is in season 20 and which is also an all-star season. Is
Wow.
airing right now. So which I love. I don't think you really watch Top Chef, so we haven't talked about it much, but
Yeah.
um yeah, that's been a great season so far too. So that's interesting that it'll right after that ends, we will be going straight into another all-star season.
Yeah, that's exciting. I don't know if I even remember who was on the seasons that I've seen, but maybe we'll remember some of these people who are on the All-Stars season.
Yeah, I don't have the cast pulled up right now. I can try to pull it up here and read it, but
Yeah.
I,
But yeah, that'll be
yeah,
interesting to see. So that's good.
yeah.
Yeah, well, I think we've covered everything
I
that
think
we've
so
had
too. We had a lot of
about news this week.
news. I'm glad we didn't try to talk about anything else today because we've certainly had enough news to cover.
Oh,
And like you said, we will be doing this probably once every few weeks just to make sure that we can get through all the news stories that we don't have time for during the rest of the weeks when we have specific shows we want to cover. So we will, I'm sure, be doing this again in the next month or so.
yeah, and even if you don't know about all these things that are happening, and then you might be interested to watch or hear about what's going on. And so that's
Yeah,
why we want to bring up things that maybe you don't remember or knew about what's happening. So that's why we share a lot of the news that's going on.
absolutely. We always want to introduce people to new shows that they might be interested in and that we love, even shows that we don't necessarily watch heavily. We want to bring up news stories for so that maybe we can start watching them too. And feel free to recommend any shows that y'all watch that you want us to keep an eye on and possibly cover in future episodes because we are both always open to watching new shows.
Definitely. Well, thanks for listening, and we'll chat with you all next week.
Yes. Chat with y'all later.